When I opened my front door, I remember it was my neighbor's daughter that I saw in front of me. And I said to her, what are you doing here? Well, I saw you through the window and I was wondering if like, you know, you wanted me to like come over and like maybe we can go to your bedroom and have some fun. Wait, what? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba and welcome back to another really insane story. Now, this story all takes place back when I was in high school and this was my grade 10 year. Now, in grade 10, I never really was one for, you know, being friends with my neighbors. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always known my neighbors, but I never understood being friends with your neighbors like back in the really old movies where you would come next door and like give them cookies and treats and, you know, go to their house and become like great family friends. Like, I've never seen that actually happen in my life. But I remember there was one time where me and my family, we just moved into a different neighborhood, and I was switching schools for my grade 10 year. And when I got to this new school, I remember the first day of school was not fun because, well, I didn't have any friends. Obviously, I had people that knew about me or knew of me because of my, you know, Devil's Tango streak I had back in high school. But for sure, one thing I knew was that when I went home that day, something really odd was happening. Because after school that day, I remember I was walking home and out of nowhere, I ended up seeing this girl that was following right behind me. Now, I had no idea who this girl was. So I remember I kept looking back and kept seeing her follow right behind me till it got to the point where I looked at her and said, "Hey, are you following me?" Huh? What? Oh, no, sorry. I live down this way. Really? Wait, where do you live? Are you really asking me where I live, you creep? No, I meant like, I'm just wondering like how far down you are because I thought you were following me. And at that point, me and her, we started walking together until we finally got to her house. And when we got to her house, I realized that her house was right beside mine. So obviously I ended up telling her like, yo, we're neighbors. And we kind of had a little bit of a conversation. And then she said, oh, wait, so you guys just moved in like the other day, right? Yeah, we just moved in. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell my mom to bake cookies. And she ended up basically running into her house with the excitement of joy that apparently I moved in, which I had no idea why that was exciting. I was nothing special, don't get me wrong. But she ended up running inside back to her place and I went inside my house. I want to say like 6 hours later, as I'm sitting on my Xbox playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2, I ended up seeing out of my front window that was like pointed towards the front of the house, how her mother and her were walking around with a tray and coming to the front of my door. And at that moment, I knew 100% these people baked something to give us for, you know, becoming our new neighbors or being a neighbor. I don't really know how it works, to be honest, in the whole neighbor system. Comment down below if you understand what you do. But to be honest, I ended up running downstairs right at that moment when I saw them and I waited for them to knock. When I finally heard the knocking on the door, I opened it and I saw them. And I remember her mom ended up basically saying, "Oh, hi there. Is your mother home?" At that moment, my mom ended up coming up to the door wondering who the hell is at our door at like 7 p.m. at night. And she ended up basically seeing that it was a mom and her little girl. At this point, my mom looks at me all questioning like, what is going on here? And then instantly at that moment, she said, "Oh, hi, where are your new neighbors? My daughter just got really excited because apparently she saw your son walking home from school today and didn't know that we had new neighbors finally. So we just wanted to give you this treat." I remember I ended up picking up the tray from her and I ended up seeing it was chocolate chip cookies. And at that moment, I thought things were going to be fantastic. But boy, was I wrong. Because I remember at that moment, as I was accepting the tray, I ended up looking directly into the girl's eyes. And not the mother, but, you know, the younger daughter that she has. And when I looked right into her eyes, I am not joking, she had this form of crazy eyes. If you guys don't know what crazy eyes are, basically, in any girl you look at, they have like this little thing in their eye, like a little sparkle, which shows that if they're crazy or if they're not. Some guys are really, you know, into this kind of thing and think, you know, it's like pure beauty. But in my eyes, I know what it is. I've been with enough women to know what crazy eyes were. But obviously, at that moment, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to tell my mom what crazy eyes were or how I knew about it. So I ended up just accepting the tray and, well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, things were pretty okay because they ended up going home. But once I finally went back up to my room and I sat down on my Xbox, I am not even joking, 2 hours went by, only 2, and I ended up hearing something hitting my window. Now, I have 2 windows in my bedroom. I had one facing my neighbor's house and one facing the front of the house. And I remember I ended up hearing something being hit onto my window, but I couldn't understand what it was until out of nowhere, I remember I finally decided to look over and see what it was going on. And I saw that someone was throwing paper clips at my window. Not any normal paper clips, but pink paper clips. Now, I knew 100% it wasn't going to be one of my siblings, so I decided to walk up to the window and see what was going on. And at that moment, I ended up seeing my neighbor's daughter, the girl that, you know, basically gave us the cookies earlier that I walked home with, throwing paper clips at my window. Now, I didn't know why, and I remember I opened the window and I said, "What are you doing? Papa, do you want to come over?" "What? No, what? I have school tomorrow. We have school tomorrow. What are you doing?" "Oh, like, I don't know. I was wondering if you just wanted to hang out." "No, I can't hang out. I got things to do. I got to go to bed. It's school tomorrow." At that moment, I ended up closing my window and closing my curtains as well. At that moment, I did not know what was going on with this girl, but that was the most weirdest thing thing I ever had to deal with. Well, at least so I thought. Because what ended up happening the next day made things really, really weird. Because the next day I ended up going to school. And remember, this was just me being a totally new kid at this school. No one knew anything about me, and I thought this was going to be a fresh start for me to pull more women. Until around lunchtime, when there was no luck of me making any new friends, I ended up seeing someone run up to me saying, "Yo, bro, I was just a question. Do you live beside this girl?" Yeah, why? "Oh, well, bro, like, I didn't know she had a new boyfriend. Like, what's going on, man?" "Wait, what? New boyfriend? What? No, I'm her neighbor. I'm not dating her." "Oh, okay. Okay, keep saying that, man. We all know what happened to her last neighbor." "Wait, what? Her last neighbor? Wait, what does that have to do with me?" And he ended up walking away. Now, at this moment, obviously, I was a little worried, and I had no idea what to think. Because I didn't know what was more worrying. The fact that this girl was talking about me, or the fact that something else happened to her last neighbor. But trust me when I say this, as the story goes on, you guys will realize what this girl was known for. I remember that day after school, I ended up walking home, and honestly, in my mind, I was just playing music through my headphones, listening to John Bellion, one of my favorite artists. And as I was walking home, I ended up seeing this girl walk up behind me, touch me on the shoulder, and I jumped. I jumped and said, "Yo, wait, what are you doing here?" Bubba, I live down this way. Remember, I'm your neighbor." "Oh, right, sorry, I didn't know it was you." "Wait, I have a question though." Yeah, what's your question?" "Well, like, do you talk about me?" At this moment, I remember her face went red, and she was like, no, I don't like talk about you like that. Like, I just like, you know, I said a couple things maybe here and there." "Okay, well, please, like, don't talk smack about me. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. And also, what happened to your last neighbor?" Now, from her having a blushed red face, I remember she ended up going pale, and she ended up like looking like she was going like a demon mode. And I started to worry because she kind of had an angry face, and she said, "Wait, what'd you hear about my last neighbor?" "Seriously, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. He was a jerk, and he didn't know what he wanted, okay?" At that moment, I didn't know what to say. I ended up just pausing right then and there, not wanting to argue with this girl whatsoever, because I've never seen this freaky side of this girl at all. But as me and her were walking home, I remember she kept like trying to grab my hand, which also made me really uncomfortable, by the way, until we finally got to my front door, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm gonna go inside. I'll see you tomorrow at school." "Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, Bubba." And she went back to her house that was right beside mine. Now, at this point, I thought maybe it would be the smartest thing to stay away from this girl and maybe not do anything. But when I got upstairs to my room, I started to change, and I realized that my window was left wide open. And when I walked up to basically like, you know, go and close the window, I ended up seeing that my neighbor was literally looking at me through the window with binoculars. Yeah, she was watching me with binoculars. Like, I am not joking. At this moment, I was so uncomfortable because think about it. I was in boxers, I was shirtless, and she was just looking at me through the window like that. Like, bro, what? So I remember I ended up closing them really quickly, and I ended up getting my pants and t-shirt on as fast as I could. And I opened the window again saying, "Yo, what are you doing?" "What? I have no idea what you're talking about." "Yeah, you do. You were just staring at me through the window, dude." "What? No, I'm not doing that. I was just checking for like markings on your house." "Markings on my house? Are you good?" At that moment, I ended up just shutting my window closed and going straight to my Xbox and playing Call of Duty to let the anger out. Even though, don't get me wrong, I probably builds up more anger. But going on with the story, I remember as I'm sitting there continuing to play my game, I ended up seeing the same thing happen again, where this girl ended up throwing paper clips at my window. Now, obviously, I decided to just ignore it this time. I decided not to go up to it, not to give this girl any attention whatsoever. You would think she would leave me alone, right? Well, no, because what this girl ended up doing was really weird, where one thing led to another. I ended up hearing my doorbell ring of my house, and instantly at that moment, I got up, I ran downstairs to the door and opened it and said, "What are you doing?" At that moment, I ended up realizing that it was the girl's mom that was my neighbor, and she looked over at me and says, "Hi, Bubba, I was actually looking for you. I was wondering, my daughter wants to play, and I was wondering if she was cool to play with you today." At that moment, I felt so embarrassed, because not only did I just yell at my neighbor's mom, but like, dude, she sent her mom to me to ask to play. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the last time I was asked to play was back when I was in elementary school. Okay, we're in high school at this time and age, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to hang out with someone, just say hang out, don't say play. Like, bro, what? Going on though, I remember I looked at her mom and I said, "Oh, well, to be honest, I was doing homework. My bad, you just caught me at a bad time." "Oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna go tell my daughter that. Thank you." And she ended up basically leaving, and I closed my door. At that moment, I felt pretty bad, so I ended up going upstairs to my window, and I ended up opening it saying, "Psst, psst, You there? Yeah, of course I'm here. You told my mom no? Like, are you kidding me? What do you have against me? Nothing. It's just like, you know, you're being weird. I'm being weird? I'm being weird. How do I make it less weird then, Bubba? You tell me. I can't tell you what's not weird. Like, you literally were watching me through the window when I was changing. Yeah, and I would let you watch if it was me. Wait, what? And at that moment, I remember this girl, she ended up taking off her clothing right in front of me across the window. And I was like mind blown because she was showing me her cherries literally through my window. Like, what, bro? At this moment, obviously, I got a little bricked up. I'm not gonna lie, chat. Like, it was really weird. And well, one thing led to another. I remember she looked over at me through the window and said, Bubba, do you want to play now or what? I mean, sure. At that moment, I remember I decided to basically, you know, go downstairs. I went to her place. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I ended up doing the Devil's Tango. But I will say this. This only went on for so long because I want to say like 2 months later, apparently I ended up finding out how she had a biting issue and she liked biting guys in a really weird way. Yeah, you know, I don't really want to talk about it. That's a story for another time. But honestly, like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.